folks, and welcome back to another Britgrid intermediate class. And today we're going to be carrying on making daisies. And if you can remember our kind of last video, we made some grass, we've made some daisies, and now we're going to start kind of tidying up, getting things ready to combine these into some kind of renderings that we could use for texturing just some simple mesh planes. There's a couple of things we need to do before we crack on with that. Namely, the daisy, if you look at it, you'll find that it's actually made of several components, some of which haven't been converted to mesh yet. Some of them are curves, some of them are splines, curves, bezier curves that we've used for the stalks. So what I'm going to do is, and you can see on my screen here that I've actually made a few different iterations, a few different copies of the daisy, and I've altered them slightly, used slightly different leaves, slightly different kind of petal shapes, using the same technique that I've already shown you. So let's have a look at how we can sort out these daisies. So what we want to do is, by the way, I'm in Eevee rendering mode at the moment, and you can see that I've got some lights and a camera and stuff. They tend to get in the way sometimes, but we'll try and work around that. So there's a few things, there's a process that you need to do to kind of carry on, and that is, first of all, to select. I'm going to go into box select mode by pressing B, or you can probably do it with select from the menu and go to box select. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and select just the mesh and spline and arrays, whatever, that make up this daisy here. And you can see that I've highlighted it. If I go into wireframe mode, you can see that it's all completely selected. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we convert that into a mesh. So we can go up, and we're in object mode, so we can go up to object and we can say convert to, and we want to choose mesh from curve meta serve text, and there we go, we've done that. So that's converted the daisy into mesh from whatever it was previously. But you can see that all these components are separate meshes, and what we actually want to do is we want to join them together. And in order to do that, what we can do is we can do the box select thing again. Oh, I've not got my hold on, I've not got my screencast keys on. Let me sort that out for you. I do apologise. There, okay. Hopefully you can see that now. So, as I was saying, we need to box select the whole daisy. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift and click on one of the stalks, just to make that the active object. And then I'm going to go to the object menu and tell it to join. And now that is a single object. What I've also done is I've also set the, let me reset my, I'm just going to reset my cursor. So I'm going to say center cursor and view all, which will snap the cursor back to the 0 point. And what you can do, if you like, at this stage is say object, apply scale, rotation or transforms. All good. Now, as I've made copies of the daisy, these are all individual kind of mesh components. Some of them are splines, so I'd have to go through that process with each of these sets of mesh daisies and kind of, you know, convert them into mesh from splines or whatever, then select the whole thing, then join it all together, then set the cursor position or set the origin point to the base where the ground level is. And that's all a bit long-winded and boring, so I'm not going to go through each one of these. In fact, I've already done that and stuck it into another file. So what I'm going to do now is I will open that file and we will have a look at kind of how we proceed from there. So but before I do that, I actually modelled my grass in a separate file. I could have modelled it in a different collection and hidden it or whatever. I didn't do that. So let me show you how you can open another blend file and copy an object between running instances of Blender. So basically I'm just going to go and say open. I'm going to choose my grass blend file. Here it is. You can see I've got my grass there, so all I would need to do is go to the old box select. Oh dear, I would say go to the old box select, but we've actually selected everything there, which we didn't really want to do. We've got cameras and things. Try that again. Try it again with a little bit more feeling. Let's try that. Okay, we can just deselect the camera by shift clicking. And of course it's turned off my screencast keys because it's a new file, so I'll put those back on for you. So let's get that. Oh, I thought that was a camera. It's not, it's a light. Let me just deselect that light. So I've just got the grass selected here now, so what I can do is I can go up to the object menu and I can just say copy object, and it says copied 3 selected objects. Now we can go back to our other running Blender session. Let me just minimize that one. So here we've got our other Blender file with our daisies in it, so I can go up to object and I can just choose paste object, and you can see that that's pasted in a very small clump of grass. So part of the process that we need to follow here is, once I've sorted out the daisies like I showed you earlier, I would then import my grass, and you might need to scale it so that it's, you know, so in relation to the daisies the two look about right, and you can make copies of those. There's no need to convert the grass into mesh, it's already mesh, so that's all good. Now I've done all of those things into a different file, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that file and then I'll show you how we kind of proceed from there. So let me do that now. So it's probably recent daisies and grass, I think it's called. I won't bother saving that. Okay, so let me just tidy up here. Turn on my screencast keys. Hopefully that is done that. Yep, that's not too bad. Right. So as you can see here, I've kind of scaled everything, and I've made copies of stuff. It's all good. All the daisies are now mesh, and you know, various bits of grass have been put in there. I've also arranged the camera so it's taking a nice picture of the daisies. So if I show you that, I'm just going to render the image. Whoa, Blender crashed. That's not very nice, is it? Let me open it. Let me open Blender again. Let me close that one. Don't save. Okay, bear with me, folks. We shall try and get back to some sense of normalcy. Right, okay. That was funny. I've not had Blender crash on me for a long time, actually. So let's try that again. Let's see if we can carry on unperturbed. So there we have our daisies and our grass. Let's try another render. Let's try a render image. There we go, that's better. It didn't crash that time. So this is kind of the thing that we're looking for. We're basically looking for a rendered image with an alpha background, and I'll show you how to change it into alpha, and I'll show you a couple of little tips that you can use. So let's have a look at changing, if I can find it, probably in one of these. I thought it was in that one. And I've got to remember where it is now. Probably not in that one. Or is it? Or is it? Sorry, folks. Okay, maybe it was that one. Is it under film? Yeah. So if you go to whatever that one is, render properties, and I'm using EV here, and you open the film settings, you can put a tick in transparent, and that will make sure that your background renders transparent. Another thing I want to show you is if we go up to the top here where the rendering parameters are, what I've done under viewport shading, I've turned off scene lights and scene world, and I've selected one of these HDRIs, one of the default HDRIs, and the one that I found seems to work quite nicely is this one with kind of trees and grass on it. That seems to give quite a nice effect. I've also added a couple of lights to the scene, and these are sunlights, so you just go to add a light, then you can kind of rotate it, move it around till it's roughly in the right place. And I've kept the strength to 3 for that. Another kind of little tip or little hint, if you like, if you go to the world setting, if you find your scene's a bit dark, you can open under the world surface settings, you can change the colour of the viewport in the background. That is, if you're using the scene settings up here, if you're using scene lights and scene world, that will make it a bit lighter for you. In our case I'm not, so it doesn't affect it, but if you find that it's all looking a bit dark, you can brighten it up a bit by doing that. So yeah, bit of a quick video today. I'm hoping you found that helpful. I'm hoping I didn't kind of scoot over things too quickly, but if I did, I'm sure you can leave me a question or whatever in the Discord channel. So thank you so much for watching. Next week we'll render these out to some simple textures, and we'll slap them onto a mesh and then import them in World and see how they're looking. So thanks for joining me. Take care, like and subscribe, and see you next week. Bye for now.